Boa tarde, gente. Espero que todos estejam tendo bom dia. This is your man Larry, the American Brazilian, saying good afternoon, and I hope everybody's having an awesome day. Listen, I just wanted to briefly get on here and talk about a topic, discuss a topic based on a video that I saw by BGS, and it was saying, what more do black men need to do? You can go check it out. I'll see if I can put a link below in the description box. And before I really get into what I'm about to say, I also want to get a shout out to the Kosher Clinician. He had a show Saturday, I believe it was Saturday, and the topic of the show was the power and the joy that a Latino woman brings to a black man. And I did that show with Andre from Love Across Borders, and Luke Hazley, she was on there. I don't know what her channel is. And there was another guy named Richard Mack. Now, Richard Mack, he came after me, after I had left. However, I did see portions or snippets of the show because I had to take care of something. I was a little late. But either way, it was very entertaining. I challenge you guys to check it out. I think you will be informed. You will definitely be entertained. And I think you will leave more empowered with understanding as to why a lot of brothers are actually not just leaving, but leaving in the Latino direction. Well, anyway, so while listening to BGS's morning talk concerning what black men need, or what more do black men need to do, I thought about the alarming numbers of brothers that are actually leaving. And a lot of people are saying that, and I've said this before, that some sisters are just beginning to get indignant. Now, when I say sisters, I don't want people to think that we in the SYSBM community or the travel community, feel like all black women or all American women are bad. Here's what a lot of people need to understand. We are leaving a mindset and ideology. Just so happens the people that a lot of people of our group are respected groups that have bought into that ideology. Those are the ones who, unfortunately, a lot of our talking points are directed to. Well, anyway, I looked at some of the statistics. Well, I looked at some of the videos. And YouTube, I don't know if you've been on YouTube and looked at people in the travel community or people in the SYSBM movement. A lot of people, they're not only traveling for a new experience, a lot of people have gotten to the point where, and I think this is what is kind of concerning, they are getting tired of traveling, going back and forth and saying, how can I create a stream of income and remain where I am, or where I like to go, or the place or the country that speaks to me. Now, it's important to understand this. There are people in the travel community that ascribe to certain countries, right? So you have people like Taylor Made Dreams. He said Panama was his thing at one point in time, but he just completely, after some things went on in his personal life, went to DR, and he just was enamored with it, and that is the place that speaks to him. You have people like, who else? I just say even Andre from Love Across Borders. Went to Colombia, met his wife, and that is Cali, Colombia, and that is where he is. So you have, and those are just two people that I mentioned because I know a lot of people recognize those guys. And then you also have a lot of brothers like Aaron Ferris, Ace Live, and different other people that travel to other different parts of the world just to kind of see the entire world. And it's nothing wrong with either people, whether you find somewhere that speaks to you and remain or relocate, or you decide, you know what, I'm not really necessarily into the family thing, settling down right now. I just kind of want to explore and see the world. And you go todos mundos, all over the world, the whole world, see everything, right? But what I think is this: the fact that so many brothers are tired of going back and forth now and are saying, we need to find a place or discover how to work online, create a stream of income, and set up shop. That's one thing I give a shout out to Brother Yusef Watif, RIP. he and I, we talked a lot, and that was one of the things. He literally had a company which helps people relocate, get their residency, and help them get on the road to citizenship in Brazil. And I believe Andre from Love Across Borders does the same thing in Cali, Colombia. But gentlemen, if you are curious, if you have not figured out that things are changing where we are, having an exit strategy is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I heard it said this: the future belongs to those who can see it before it happens. Everybody's not just traveling just to travel. Everybody's not into the pay for play or the mongering thing. And I don't judge anybody, nor do I have any issues with anybody who desires to do those things. I'm cool with whatever it is that you feel like makes you happy, as long as you're being safe. There's always a safe way to do everything, right? So as long as you're being safe, as long as you're protecting yourself and others, do what makes you happy. However, I do believe that a lot of people are getting to the point, and I've said this is probably the fourth time I've said this in this particular video. They're getting to the point that they no longer want to go back and forth. They literally are trying to set up residence. And I think what's going to be interesting is that whole question: how can we get them back? How can we get them to return? If you've ever been overseas for any length of time, you know a lot of things are vastly different than where we are. The time, the environment, the food, the personality of the people, the natural beauty of the women, the ambiance when you go to different places, the hospitality. I don't know if I said that, but if I did, it's worth repeating, especially in Brazil. And it literally takes you a little while to almost reacclimate to coming back on this side. Now, if you're somebody that say, you know what, I have tenure on my job, so going back and forth is not necessarily an ideal situation for me right now. It's not. It's in my purview, but right now it's not necessarily ideal. But at some point, I am going to just kind of cut bait and run. I understand that. We did a show. Brother Mervin Persons, he was like, you know, the type of job that he has is not really transferable, being a truck driver. But he did mention how things over there are vastly different. Now, I don't want to big any place up to the point where I make anybody leave or insinuate that there are no issues. There are issues everywhere we go. The thing about it is this: it's kind of like, this is probably a poor analogy, but this is something that a lot of people who might see this can understand, right? So if you are voting, if you're a voter, and you want to elect somebody, you have to get somebody who is stomping for the issues that are near and dear to your heart, right? And they may not be perfect. Nobody is perfect. But when you size them up, the pros may be up here for this person, and the pros may be up here for this person. Unless you are just loyal to not getting your needs met, you're gonna choose where you can get your needs met the most, right? You're gonna choose where you can be celebrated. You're gonna choose that candidate who supports the ideology and the talking points and the rights that are more important to you, right? So that's kind of what's going on right now. Listen, brothers, I challenge you, and I don't think I've ever done this like the way that I'm doing it. I challenge you. Go outside the country. Now, I'm not saying go to Brazil, although I would suggest it. But Brazil is something that speaks to me and a whole lot of other brothers. There are families that are like man and wife Americans that said, you know what, we're going to relocate and move to Brazil. There are husband and wife that say, you know what, we're going to relocate and move to Portugal, Colombia, Asia, Panama, Africa, the DR, Costa Rica, somewhere in Europe, because I think what's going on right now is the older we've gotten, and it's spilling over to the younger generation. It's interesting. Let me say this: the younger generations are the younger generation are a little bit more tech savvy than a lot of the older guys, the older generation, right? And so it takes some of the older generation a little bit longer to kind of strengthen their acumen in all things tech, right? Well, the older generation, they learn faster the importance of time, which is the most precious commodity that anybody has. I don't care who you are or what you have or where you are. Time is the most important thing that you have. So now what's happening is the younger generation they're seeing that, and they're saying, you know what, man, I'm 20 something, I'm 30 something, I'm 40 something. Man, I need to get busy living. I need to figure out where I can get the most bang for my buck in resources, in relationships, in living, in environment, in food, in health, in everywhere. And I will tell you this: a lot of people are discovering the pluses and are magnifying the pros because they should be elsewhere. Now, you might say, well, bro, you're talking to us and you're in America. Now, I am. But if you think that I created this page and have these conversations and speak about the country that I love so much, and I don't hate this one, I have it on my arm, just like I have this one on my arm. So please don't misunderstand me. If you don't understand, don't misunderstand me. But I'm not doing this for nothing. I'm not doing this because it's a good idea. I'm not even doing this because my wife is a Brazilian. I fell in love with Brazil 2 years before I knew my wife even existed. So the day I touched down in Brazil was birthed. Matter of fact, this was birthed before I touched down in Brazil. Shout out to Charles Tyler. So anyway, I'm going to try to put a link in the description box for BGS's Morning Talk and for the show that we did Saturday with the Kosher Clinician. But I want you to really think about where you are and what it is that you want, and make a decision that not only fits your now, but definitely embraces your future. Because, listen, a wise man once told me this. He said, take time off for yourself now, because while you're on top, because when you get to the bottom, there'll be none left. Anyway, I'm also going to say this before I go. For the people that say, well, you guys just going over there, these poor women that just have sex with people, they don't know no better, and they're uneducated, and, man, you got good, strong, independent women here, you get a power couple, and it comes across as hate, because a lot of times that's what really is. So I want you to learn these words in Portuguese, and I want you to say this to them and let them figure it out. But I'll give you a secret. I'll tell you what it means, right? When somebody begins to ostracize and criticize you, those of us who travel, those of us who have embraced another country different than where we're indigenous to, let them know this. Tell them this. No odeio o jogador, odeio o jogo. Don't hate the player. Hate the game. This is your man Larry, the American Brazilian, saying até a breve, é verdade.